Here we are. It's that time again. Let me know if you're watching this live, hashtag live. If you're watching this on the replay, hit me with a hashtag replay. Also, I would love to know if you're a setter, if you're a closer, if you're looking to transition into this industry, and also what would you like me to talk about? Those that know me know I can rant for days on a lot of different things. I want to make sure it's the most relevant topics. So if you have a question, if you have a topic that you want me to cover, I will cover it. Just please let me know. Hope you guys are off to a great week. Again, like I tell everybody in UCM, make sure that not a day goes by where you're not progressing towards your goals, where you're not taking actions. I should be able to look at your calendar and tell what your goals are, what you're working towards. So many people let days and weeks and months go by and they're not making that progress. So if nothing else, please make sure you're taking actions towards your goals. I love it. All right. So I mixed up the times last week and this week. So we are going to be covering how to transition into remote sales responsibly. Now, if you've already made the transition, you still might be able to get some value out of this call. Because there's lots of little tidbits and ideas of things that I do a little bit differently than most teach in this industry. So by now, most people know that telling someone that they can quit their job and transition into remote sales smoothly and make 10K in 21 days is a lie. When I came into the industry, that's what was being sold. Within a month, 10K, they even had marketing like everybody will be lining up down the block to stuff your pockets full of cash. It was a horrible thing. I spoke up about it, and eventually that company crumbled, thank goodness. But it's extremely irresponsible because, again, they don't have to pay your bills. They don't have to deal with your debt. They don't have to talk to your spouse. So it's very easy for them to tell you whatever you need to hear, especially if you're vulnerable or naive about this situation, about the industry, to be able to get you to buy. It's our job to figure out what's true and what's not. I also, on the other side, I think it's went too far on the other side now, where I also think it's irresponsible to tell someone that they need to set out as a DM setter for 6 months before getting a good role. Like you need to somehow eat shit for a while, and then that's going to prepare you to get on the phones, right? The reason they do that is because that's the opportunities that their pipeline is full of. But the problem is we need to start giving people all the information from all angles and allow them to choose for themselves instead of just giving the information that makes what we have sound better. And then communicating it as if it's the only way. There's many different ways. I want to make a few things really clear on this live. One, you don't need to buy sales training before entering this industry. That is not a prerequisite. There's many people that have been successful without buying sales training. You may never need to buy sales training. Doesn't mean that there isn't some value in it, that it might work well for some people, but you don't need to. You don't need guaranteed placement to find a job in this industry. A lot of people are able to find those placements themselves. You don't need UCM or anything that I offer to be successful in this industry. You don't need to follow my strategies. You don't need to start as a DM setter. And there's no set amount of time that you need in any role to be ready to move to the next role. All of those things are fallacies that people create to get you to buy into their system. But these are nothing more than options. These are all options, and you have a lot of options. So stop letting the market and the marketing dictate your decisions in this industry. So now that that's out of the way, I wanted to give some different strategies and some different options on how you can transition safely and responsibly into this industry without taking a giant, huge leap. But the other thing that I should mention is I should first explain that online marketers only sell you based on your dream income, but there's lots of different incomes that you should be paying attention to. The reason that they sell you on dream income is because it justifies the investment, right? The more they can get you to buy in that you're going to be making 10, 20, 30K as quickly as possible, the easier it is to sell you the debt of going 5, 10, 15K in debt to make that money. But beyond the dream income, there's other incomes that someone should be paying attention to. There's milestones along the way that are very important. Of course, there's dream income, or what I like to call life-altering income. This is the amount of money that you need to live your dream life or see a significant improvement in the quality of your life. That might be 10K for some, 8K, 5K, could be 3K. If that's going to change your life, or your life is going to be significantly better, that is your dream income. There should not be one universal dream income for everybody. So thinking about what would that number be? Just because you learned that you could make 10K, you need to be connected to that number. So thinking about what would you need for your life to be significantly better? That's your life-altering income. Now, the other two incomes that people don't talk about, which I think are really important, is one, your replacement income. So this is the amount of money you need to replace the earning potential of your current job or a job that you would take on the traditional market. So what is your take-home income if you were to work a 9-to-5 or a regular job? That's significant because, again, your replacement income, that's kind of like the first check of like, I made a great decision. I'm doing what I love with more freedom, and I'm making what I would make on the regular job market. That's great. That you should pay attention to. And then the other thing, which definitely doesn't get talked about, which is your survival income. The amount of money that you need to survive and cover your bills and not incur any debt. Online marketers don't speak about the other two because they're not attractive enough to allow you to charge ridiculous amounts of money to your credit cards or bank cards for their generic courses, which usually cost somewhere up to 10K. Hence why they sell you the 10K dream. Anyways, as far as transitioning goes, there's going to be a lot of people that will tell you, oh, just go all in. Again, these people do not have to pay your bills. You are responsible for your bills, so you should be responsible for the decision. It does not make sense for everybody to jump into this industry on day one without any source of income. For some, it does. So these are the different strategies that I've laid out and that I've helped a lot of people kind of navigate. You have to decide which one makes the most sense for you. The first strategy is where I think most people should land. But again, it depends on your situation. This is called the 5 to 9 strategy. So the idea here, while working on a 9-to-5, you look for a transition opportunity. Now, we classify a transition opportunity as one that has flexibility in schedule and a proven sales process with ideally some training and support so that you can learn on the job. The 5 to 9 strategy is very simple. You devote the hours that you aren't working in your current 9-to-5 position, typically 5 to 9 or 6 to 10 or 7 to 10 or weekends or whatever time you have available extra. And basically the goal here is to reach a point in remote sales, working part-time, that you can at least cover your survival income and sometimes even your replacement income or more. But the baseline is survival income. The idea being that if you can prove the ability to live off of remote sales part-time, that would give you a lot of certainty that it's safe to transition into full-time. That is probably the safest bet. Now, every opportunity and every strategy has an opportunity cost. The positive is the 5 to 9 is safe. It's the most responsible strategy to transition into remote sales. The challenge is you are sacrificing all your free time for probably 1 to 3 months. it is very challenging to balance your life, your job, your side job, your family, your relationships, your hobbies. You're going to be tired. You're not going to have a lot of fun in that transition. It's going to be difficult. But the idea is if you don't have a lot of reserve, this is something that you're going to have to sacrifice and do. That's a safe way to do it. Now, the second strategy is what I call the 50-50 strategy. So basically, this strategy includes part-time traditional work and part-time remote sales. This strategy is geared towards people who currently work in a position that requires too much time in their current role, and they don't have the time to devote to remote sales. So very simply, in this strategy, you either request to cut your hours back to part-time, or you find another position that allows you to work less hours. The goal here is combining the part-time hours of your traditional job and the part-time hours of your remote sales income, and you should be aiming to earn at least your replacement income or the take-home money if you were working full-time. Then you start to scale back or remove that part-time job and commit more hours to your current remote sales position or take on a second part-time sales position. So again, really the positive here is it allows you more time to commit to remote sales. So for example, we've had students that were truck drivers coming into this industry. Well, those people were working 70 hours a week. There's no way that you can get any traction in this space, or it's very difficult, I should say, to get traction in this space if all your time is taken up working another position. Now, the challenge being some traditional companies will not allow you to go part-time, so you might have to take a less than desirable position in the short term. It's likely that you won't get paid in remote sales until probably months 2 at the earliest. So there's probably 1 month where you have to live off of part-time hours. It also is a real challenge for people because if you have a full-time job where you're working a lot of hours, you're typically making pretty good money. You have to be willing to make a little bit of a short-term sacrifice. If you don't have money set aside, that can be difficult. Or if your cost of living is quite high, it can be a tough transition. The next is a little bit less popular. It's a strategy that I use, kind of the 50-50 I used a little bit, and I also used the gig strategy. But the gig strategy is basically supplementing your income with gig work. So this can be remote gig work like freelancing or referrals or putting yourself up on Fiverr or some sort of service that you offer, a business that you run, or something local like working temporary gigs, events, Uber, food delivery, some sort of labor, walking dogs, whatever it is. You will find you'll find a full-time remote sales position. And in the beginning, you will work gigs around that schedule to supplement your income. As you start making more in remote sales, you can start dialing back the amount of gigs and commit fully to remote sales. For this strategy to work, you should only consider working with companies that have a proven sales process and salespeople who are currently making more than your replacement income. Because you're committing full time, you want to make sure that commitment is going to pay the bills and going to replace your current income. Now, again, the positive of this strategy is probably the most smoothest that allows you to go straight into full-time remote sales positions. And if implemented correctly, it's one of the fastest ways to transition. The challenge is similar to the 5 to 9 strategy, only in reverse. It's challenging to balance gigs and full-time positions. And also the gig economy can be inconsistent. So it's best for people that have a little bit of savings to rely on in the beginning, probably somewhere at least being able to cover 1 to 3 months of low or no income. And lastly, there is the strategy that most people teach. It is okay for some people, but it's not okay for as many people that are posting it. And that is the all-in strategy. This is exactly as it sounds. You quit your current employment and you go all in remote sales. It is by far the riskiest of all the strategies and should be reserved for those who actually have the urgency of needing to get out of their current job immediately and have a buffer, a savings account that can support them for 3, 4, 5 months or more. Not to say that you're going to drain that savings, but again, you want a buffer. It might take you a month to get a job, but maybe it takes another month to get paid. Maybe it takes you a little bit longer. Maybe there's a delay. You want to have that buffer so you don't put yourself at massive risk. So again, for this strategy to work, it's a viable strategy for the right person, but you should already be 100% committed to remote sales. If you're unsure about remote sales, I wouldn't take the all-in strategy. And by the time that you go all in, you should already have a deep understanding of what it takes to be successful in this industry. You should have confidence in your ability to network and outreach and interview at a professional level. You should have a deep understanding of what to look for in an opportunity. A lot of the people who go all in are learning on the fly. And so that can be a tough learning curve for people, and they end up running out of money and then they have to go back. The key is no matter what strategy that you pick, you don't want to go backwards. So make sure that you pick the right strategy for you. Right? You should also only be considering proven, no startups, proven offers, and you should have multiple proof points from salespeople who are earning anywhere between your replacement income and your life-altering income. So the positive, obviously, you can commit fully to remote sales without any distractions or time restraints. You don't have to balance a bunch of things. The challenge, you are taking on all the risk. It's possible that you could be without income for 30, 60, or even 90 days, depending on your strategy. So the thing to notice here is there's no perfect strategy. There's no one size fits all opportunity. Each person has to choose what makes sense for their situation. The more resources you have tucked away, maybe the more risks you can take. If you don't have a lot of resources, you've got to make sure that your survival income is always taken care of. It's not my responsibility. It's not any other trainer's responsibility. It's not a business owner or a job's responsibility to make sure that you cover your survival income. That is your responsibility. So you should make decisions based on that in your situation. You should not let me or anyone else tell you what is right for you. At the end of the day, you have to pay your bills. You are the decision maker. You are the one responsible. So even inside UCM, we have some of the fastest placement in the industry by far. It typically takes a student 15 to 21 days from entering to find meaningful high income employment opportunities. That means multiple offers that they can choose from. From there, you'd think it's all sunshine and rainbows, but of course not. 15 to 21 days just to find the offer. Then sometimes there's an onboarding process, or sometimes there's a delay. So it could be another 1 to 2 weeks until you start onboarding. And then maybe the onboarding process is 1 to 2 weeks. Then you have to learn the campaign. Then once you start making commission, even if you do make sales, it's not like you get paid every day. It can take 2 to 4 weeks to actually get paid on this. So based on my experience, and again, there's always outliers, but based on my experience, from the moment that you fully commit into this industry, you should not expect any income from remote sales in the first 60 days. Doesn't mean you won't make sales, doesn't mean that you won't find the job and that you're in a good position. But I'm saying as far as money hitting your bank account, whatever plan that you choose, I would allow a 60-day buffer. If you're coming into this industry desperate and you think I need to pay August bills with remote sales money, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And even more, you're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself for no reason. Get that stability, figure out how to get money coming in and make the transition properly. The good news is, if you know how to do things the right way and you choose the right offer, it is possible to scale your income quickly. Even though you might not get income coming in those first 30, 45, 60 days, you can still, it is possible to get to that 8 to 15K per month within the first 3, 4, 5, or 6 months. Not saying it's everybody's going to do it, but it is possible, right? So again, you got to make the right plan. Now, on the other side of this, you need to start asking yourself better questions. And there's something that we teach in sales, which I think is important, and it's a tie down. And there's a very simple tie down, and I think you can use it on yourself very often. There's 4 things that you need to ask before diving in. What do I want and need exactly? What is it that I'm pursuing? What is kind of the success in this industry, both short and long term? What does that look like? And then uncovering why. So first, what do I need and want exactly? Like crystal clear. Secondly, why do I want that? Thirdly, why is that important to me? And fourth, am I 100% committed to it? If you're not 100% committed, then you have to do somewhere. I wouldn't go all in. I wouldn't even start the transition until you figure out what you want and why. This is a tie down in sales. It's an effective tool that we use on a sales call to get to the root of the desired outcome and commitment level. Knowing the why will give us the anchor of what is our motive. Just having, I want to make 10K doesn't mean anything. A lot of people just want 10K because they heard it's possible, but it's not linked to anything. So when things get tough, they don't have any anchor. They don't have any motive. They don't have a strong why, so they just fall off, right? You want to get that commitment level because that's what's going to get you through those tough days. So once you've asked those 4 questions, you're 100% committed. That's your destination. The what and the why is your destination. So we have a starting point and we have a destination. The only missing thing is directions. Directions is really the when and the how. So this is very helpful because I can say I want to make 10K, but when do I want to make 10K and how am I going to make 10K? If you don't have that, then you have a destination with no directions. So as soon as you have the what you want and the why you want, and again, don't let anyone tell you what it is you want. Pick a number that means something to you that's tied to something realistic and important to you, right? Now, start finalizing and slapping a date on it because that makes it real. What you want to do, and this is something that people struggle with goals and setting dates, is they try and set a date based on accuracy. And I understand why. You don't want to be let down, you don't want to fail, but you have to get over that a little bit. What I would recommend is pick a date. The perfect when for me is when you can maximize the sense of urgency and inspire action, but remove desperation. So for example, if I said, hey, I want to make 10K in the next 5 days, it's going to spark desperation and doubt, and it's not going to motivate me. It's not going to make me focus on the right process. It's going to put a lot of pressure unnecessarily, right? So I'm picking a timeline that, geez, I think, I don't have a lot of time to waste, but I get really excited thinking about that. So maybe it's, okay, within the next 4 months, I want to get to a point where I'm at 10K a month. That means I don't have any time to waste. I can't just fuck around for a while, but it is possible and it motivates me and I get excited thinking about it. That's a good goal. So whether it's quitting your 9 to 5 or transitioning from setting to closing or making your first 15K, put a date on it. Put it in your calendar. I am quitting. Day of resigning is a good day to put in there. So now more on the how. And we can break this into a couple lives. I just want to give you a couple tips first, right? You want to break your goal into milestones. A lot of people only have 1 or 2 milestones. So if you're coming into remote sales, it's like, I want to make 10K. That's a big milestone. There's a lot of things that have to happen. So it's very hard to tell if you're on pace, if you're doing the right things, and if you're progressing towards that goal. You don't want to be in a situation where you get into 4 months and you have no idea how close you are, right? So once you have a goal, start breaking it down into milestones. A lot of people just have these big blanket goals, right? So, okay, if I want to make 10K, what do I need? Well, I obviously need a job opportunity that gets me to 10K, a 10K possibility or opportunity. Okay, well, to do that, I need to get an offer. Okay, to do that, I need interviews. To do that, I need to figure out how to get interviews. I need to get involved with people, and I can start breaking it down. And what that's going to do is give me little tasks that I can work on today. I don't know if you told me go out and make 10K today and I'm brand new to this industry, I get lost. I'm not sure what to do. But if I start breaking it down into milestones of like, okay, in 4 months, I want to have my first 10K month. That means probably by 3 months, I will need to make, somewhere between 5 to 7K to be on pace, which means in 2 months, I better have had a job and maybe made my first sale, which means in 1 month, I might as well have a certain amount of opportunities or interviews or whatever other milestones you have, depending on your strategies. Now, all of a sudden, I can break down into bite-sized pieces, and now I have something to focus on. The other aspects that you're going to need as far as the list is, one, you need to know what a 10K or 20K or 5K or whatever your goal is. You need to know what that opportunity looks like. In UCM, we use proof because everything else is just a guess. I like proof. It doesn't mean that there's some amazing startup out there that you can come in and there's no proof and magically they boom and you make a lot of money. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. But again, if you're making this transition responsibly, you want to bet on probability, not possibility. What is most likely? And the best bang for my buck is if someone is in the offer that I'm about to join and they're making the money that I want to make, that's proof. That means if I did what they did, the same way they did it, I would probably end up in and around what they're making. I love proof because it gives me certainty that all I have to do is find the model and work it instead of figure it out. In a startup, and again, nothing wrong with startups. I had one. I'm, a product of a startup, but it's mine. I took on a lot of risk and responsibility, and I have the rewards if it pays off, right? But I built my business up before taking people on. So the idea is, right, how to identify if this company can facilitate me hitting my goals. Now, not every company is going to provide you with the opportunity to hit your dream income. Again, you have to kind of figure out where you're at right now. So one of the things that I like to consider is the resources I have available to me. This is going to dictate whether I'm going for my survival income, my replacement income, or my dream income. The more resources I have, the more selective I'm going to be about my offer. So what I would say is, if I had thinking about resources, there's really a big three and maybe four, right? So there's time, then there's money, then there's past performance or some sort of experience, proof that you can do the job. And then there's transferable skills, characteristics, kind of the X factor stuff. If I have a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of past performance and a lot of great characteristics, then I am going to be extremely selective. I have what we call leverage. I have a lot that I bring to the table. So I don't feel like I need to take the first offer that comes to me. Now, I can probably go, if I have those four things, I can go somewhere between job replacement and dream income, more likely towards life-altering income. Now, if I'm short on those resources, meaning I don't have a lot of money, or I don't have a lot of time, or I don't have a lot of past performance, or maybe I do have some of the characteristics, but I don't have all the characteristics that I can leverage. I'm not very confident in that I have a lot of leverage going to these business owners. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back somewhere between my survival and my job replacement income. Right? And what I want to do is leverage the resources I do have to gain some of the more leverageable resources. So for example, I leverage my time with a company. Let's say my survival income is 3K and my job replacement income is 5K. Right? So what I would be looking at doing is I have time right now. I don't have a lot of money and I don't have a lot of past performance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage my time with it, which is an extremely valuable asset. I'm going to leverage my time with a company, and in exchange, I'm looking for them to facilitate an opportunity to make somewhere between my survival and my replacement income. Now, the exchange is my time, and the results are I make more money with that time, and I prove myself that I can do this. Now, all of a sudden, I'm using my time, but I have money and I have past performance. So now I can go after somewhere between my replacement income and my dream income. Sometimes you just have to break it up into segments. The good thing is it doesn't take a long time. So it's not like you have to past perform for 6 months to start going after this. But you have to have enough performance to basically say, this is why I'm capable. I'm showing you that I've been capable in other roles. I've performed in other roles. Now I have leverage to be able to go after these dream opportunities. It doesn't mean I've had students that have no past performance and they've landed their dream opportunities, but you have to have a really, really good strategy and you have to have great leverageable, transferable skills, right, to be able to move in that direction. So again, it's just about thinking this logically and not letting me or anybody else get in your head about what you can or can't do, but just thinking like, hey, if I'm not making any money right now, it's okay to take an opportunity where I'm making 4 or 5K a month. That's cash positive. In a business, the number one problem that a business has or why they fail is a lack of cash flow. So again, even though it's not your dream income, it's still, if it puts you in the cash positive and buys you more time to be able to find your dream income, that's a great opportunity. The other things that I don't believe you should be as worried about is selling your way. If you don't have the experience or the past performance, I don't think you should be demanding to sell your way or a way you've been trained. I know it feels comfortable. I know maybe you invested a lot of money, but offer selection will help. If you select an offer that has proven results, you can have confidence in their way, and then you can learn another way to sell. That is a great tool for your tool belt, saying, I trained one way and I was successful in that training, and I took a company and I used their process and I was successful there. That's a good thing. You have to watch how demanding or how entitled you are based on how much leverage you have. If you haven't performed well in the past, or you don't have a ton of experience, or you don't have a lot of money to bank on, you need to find someone else that has assets, and you need to add your work ethic and your time to get those leverageable kind of assets. I hope that makes sense. I'll do a part 2 to this and kind of dive into more of the strategies once you get in. If you need any help as far as finding and vetting the right offer, as far as networking or tapping into the hidden job market beyond job applications and recruiter pipelines. Again, I know I talk a lot about these, but the thing is, there's just not enough job posts and pipeline opportunities for how many people are flooding in this industry. So a lot of people need to find a new strategy. The pipeline offers are typically either entry level, or the ones that aren't entry level are going to the top performers in the pipeline who have the most leverage. So for everybody in the middle who's not getting what they want out of the pipeline or the job applications, we have another strategy or a couple more strategies that work, even if there's a lot of people in this industry, because it taps into a hidden market. So if you want to learn anything about that, if you need any help with interviewing, with performance, with picking the right offer, if you want me to check an offer for you, just put help in the comment section and I'll reach out and we'll talk about it. No commitment, no pressure, nothing like that. Anyways, I appreciate you. Again, this is your responsibility. It's your life. So don't let me or anybody else tell you what's going to be right for you. All right. I appreciate you. Have a good day.